Alright, hope everyone's out there doing well. This is a paid request from my friend Mike, OCB Communications. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, topics, reactions, commentaries, tier lists like this, randomness, out of the blueness, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. So in order to make sure that it's edited right, I'm going to push record on this now, and we'll make sure to get this out of the way. And okay, for syncing, I go to the yellow now. Alright, so it should be synced up, hopefully the best. He wanted me to do a tier list on horror film remakes, and I found the best that I could of the ones I've seen, that is. There might be some missing and hard to get to every single one of them, but I figured this was over 50 of them, so I figured that's the decent enough. Of 6 categories: awesome, solid. Awesome is like the best of the best. Favorites of all time. Solid is, that was pretty damn, well, I mean, not quite up to par, but I really enjoyed it. Pretty good is, yeah, didn't mind it. Meh is, whatever. I could take it or leave it. Crap lame is forgettable, or probably never see it again, but it didn't make me entirely mad. And of course, dog shit. The worst of the worst. So, I think first up we got 2000 or 2001 Maniacs. This one I remember not minding. I liked Robert Englund. It had some decent gore, but I didn't really care about the human characters. I thought the storyline was kind of blasé. I thought that the movie got kind of boring. The ending was fairly unsatisfying. But like I said, I didn't really care about the characters. It was interesting. I didn't see for the gore and Robert Englund, and I think Lin Shaye was in it. I could be wrong. That I would put in the Met category. You know, it's not a flat out I hate it, but I would never see it again either. The Blob is easily awesome. One of the best remakes of all time. The most underrated remake of all time. The Blob is fantastic on all avenues. It has likable characters, and Kevin Dillon and Shawnee Smith has a great wit to it that Frank Darabont and Chuck Russell incorporate into it, whether it be the fake slasher film that the kids and people are seeing in the theater, fun lines of dialogue. I think you pissed it off. Fantastic makeup effects. Yes, once in a while there's not the best kind of, not, I don't know what you call it, green screen, but when the blob is very big and the people try to incorporate it in front of this massive, it's not the most synced up, the best way. Also, the very, very end, I don't care for the sequel bait ending. I wish they would just snip that out. But there are very few nitpicks. I think it's exciting, a lot of cheer, crowd pleasing moment that you cheer, like when Kevin Dillon jumps the gap and gives the big middle finger. Fun supporting characters, or at least capable actors. You got Candy Clark, you have Art LaFleur, who plays Shawnee Smith's dad, may he rest in peace. They really get a feel of this old school town. The plot, I like the idea of, you think the Steve McQueen type's going to live, but then it's actually the rebellious, but then the rebel has a good heart on him, like when he cares for the old dude and wants to make sure he's safe, and Shawnee Smith sees that. Shawnee Smith, Kevin Dillon worked very well together. I like the whole military aspect. I like it a lot more than the original. To me, it's a damn good monster movie with very gory, goopy, solid, fantastic More than solid. If it has special effects, just I love the movie. It's one of my favorites of all time. Not just remakes, but favorite monster movies of all time. It's Alive is dog shit. How do you feel about the original It's Alive? This one, where they made the baby look normal, but then it's doing all this stuff that just makes it look goofy, makes it look silly, makes it look laughable. And then the way they try to portray the mom, where even though the baby's doing all this, because she's a mother, she's able to go along with it. And the way like, even It's Alive, the original, they made it look like a monster baby. So even if it's silly, you can still, in a weird way, deal with it more in case of escapism. Not the case in this. The film didn't need to be remade. The script was idiotic. Larry Cohen himself, may rest in peace, even said they like rewrote his shit, and he watched it and went, "This is god awful. Please take my name off it." I don't think they did, but it's an awful remake, an awful movie. And God, I mean, for of course, Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Shit. I mean, from wannabe Billy Bob Thornton being Freddy. Where you travel for? Have you touch you yet? Don't get some taters when I get these gloves up your ass. Terrible lead performance. Maybe the actress, she was directed poorly. You have a director that did Smells Like Teen Spirit music videos, and he never directed again. He didn't care about directing this film. He didn't care about this stuff. You could absolutely tell. Terrible lead performance with a very bland, boring, knock on wall. You get more of a reaction than this character. Just a terrible lead, a laughable villain. The effects they put on him with the CGI additions of the bird face looked ridiculous. I don't care if it's supposed to be more realistic. Whether it's CGI additions or just the way it did not work. Sometimes realism is not the way to go because it's still a movie. It's like you see someone cry in real life, you get sad. You see someone cry in a movie, especially if it's done poorly, you laugh at it. And you go, whoa, you laugh at people in real life? No, because I know that's real life and something bad happened to them. This is still a movie. You're still that line in between. The death scenes were very lazy. For a reboot of a franchise that deals with dreams, where you could be insanely creative, the most creative they did is, oh, this is a room with a lot of books. What is this, Ghostbusters? People don't stack books this way. The ending with the sequel bait and the ridiculous CGI, and I mean, it makes the seem like a worse ending than the first movies. The original movies, ridiculous ending with the Barbie doll pulling into the door. They try to reboot it, and it failed immensely. It's an awful, unscary, stealing lines. How sweet, Darkbeat or whatever the hell he's a house sweet for. Like they're stealing lines. How's this for a wet dream? Fucking stealing lines from the goddamn other movies. Where's your originality? Where's your creativity? That'll just copying scenes from the original. What's the point then? Instead of just copy this, you remember this? Remember them berries? Yeah, they're rotten. April Fool's Day? Yep. That's there as well. I have a feeling this is going to be in a lot of this. It's just, I love the original April Fool's Day. To me, it deserved a better Blu-ray than what Scream Factory gave it. Because I think Scream Factory gave it a terrible cover. I don't care that there's dolls in the movie. That doesn't mean they need to be look like a Barbie cover. Special features sound absolutely lame. I just stick with my fan Blu-ray that I bought from someone. But this remake, it looks like it was filmed like a soap opera. With soap opera level cinematography, acting, teeny bopper, drama horseshit. I mean, even the whole big twist, which is one of the important parts of the movie, they don't even follow through with that. It just, there's no reason for this to be made other than cheap tricks. I don't know. Death scene, nothing to run home about. Acting performances, nothing to run home about. Easily one of the more forgettable remakes out there. Terrible. Black Christmas, terrible, terrible. The 2019 one, very, 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 very woke. It's about, I mean, it's the fucking black oil from the X-Files that's pretty much possessing men, and they're sexist because men are sexist. It's up to the women to fight sexism through this black oil possessing people and whatever the hell else. Fucking feminist bullshit. Now, the other Black Christmas, I would put that in the pretty good. You know, it's not one of the best movies ever. It's not, wow, this is. But for what it is, it's a very gory, nasty, bloody slasher film that, I mean, this is Halloween compared to this one. And while the characters could use a bit of work, I agree with that. The ending goes a bit off the rails because they kept changing it. I agree with that. The advertising was a lie because you watch the trailers, half the stuff in those trailers is not in the movie at all for syncing. So sorry about that. I had to do so real quick. But I was saying this movie, I like, it has issues. The trailers lied. Just half the stuff in the trailer wasn't in the movie. The character work could use a bit of work. The ending got a little bit of a clusterfuck. But I do like the color scheme. I think it's a pretty good looking movie cinematography wise. It has some pretty nasty, cool kills in it. It has some really nasty pieces of work, like the killer making cookies with someone's skin, and some pretty nasty ideas. I think as a bit of exploitation, there's some fun and some shits and diddles to have with the movie. I could watch it and not be too bored with it. It's not something that I think is one of the best, but for an exploitation B movie time, there's a lot worse out there, and I don't mind that film. My Bloody Valentine remake, I'll put it there. I'll put it there. It's not a patch on the original My Bloody Valentine. The 3D gimmick, I mean, I didn't watch in 3D in theaters, so it doesn't play the best at home. The twist, I thought, was pretty obvious on who the killer was. I was actually like, oh, okay, that's what you're going with? Okay. I was hoping for a bit more of a surprise with that. I'm not big on the actor from Supernatural. I like the other actor. I forget his name. The other actor was actually in Friday the 13th in the same year as this. I actually liked him a bit more. But I thought some of the direction was fun. It was great to see people like Tom Atkins in there. Some of the gore gags and kill scenes were pretty nasty and fairly violent. Especially the opening act of the film, I thought was pretty satisfying and fun. The other actors, I didn't mind for what they needed to do. I still love the costume and the pickaxe and all the trinkets of the killer. I think it's one of the more underrated gear looks of a killer since the original My Bloody Valentine. You know, it leads on a sequel bait ending, which there was never a sequel, and apparently there was never going to be a sequel to begin with, which is ridiculous. Why you train a sequel bait ending for a franchise that was never going to be a franchise no matter what? I thought that was perplexing. Why make a sequel bait ending then? But I guess maybe the filmmakers didn't know, but the studio did. It's fun for what it needed to be. It's nothing grandiose or anything, but I remember having fun with it. Body Snatchers, I'll put in the solid category. the 90s one. That's actually my favorite. I actually didn't put the 1978 one. I'd probably put that in the pretty good category. But this is actually my favorite version of By Snatchers. I like the 90s one by Abel Ferrara. I thought Abel Ferrara created a very moody, creepy atmosphere to the proceedings. I thought that the performances, I especially like, and I forgot her name, but the way she's like, we don't go, we don't run, we don't hide, nowhere, because there's no one like you left. Some of the twists on who the bystanders were did surprise me when I first saw this. I like Dermot Mulroney. I think he did a pretty capable job, and I liked him ever since I saw him in Young Guns. The fact he's based on a military base, I thought fit well. Because all military, they're supposed to be very strict, and it's a bit old take on that. I thought that was an interesting setting. The ending definitely has a question mark, which we could debate on. Is everything going to be okay? Is everything not going to be okay? With all these military folks that they landed with, and they're supposed to be very blank, because they're under orders to do their job. Are they safe? Are they not? Again, it's a decent enough question mark. And there's some pretty nice looking special effects, makeup effects in there. And the trailer, I don't think sells the film the best, but I actually did quite like that one. It was great to see also, what's his name? Forrest Whitaker, I believe, was in the film. It was nice to see him in there. So that was nice. Cabin Fever, yeah, that's somewhere in there. Why you thought Cabin Fever needed a remake when it's not even that old of a film, and they just did literally the same movie, but I guess they tried to take out the comedy, and they got worse acting, even seemed like even a lower budget, and even more fucking boring. The Cabin Fever remake was just dog shit. Terry, I'll put it there. I mean, I've seen much worse, but pretty forgettable movie. I didn't really care about the Terry remake. There's been a lot of them, but this is like the newest one. I felt like there was no point in it getting remade. That it didn't really add anything much to the proceedings other than trying to have a bit more of a CGI filled ending, which to me was not a plus. So the lead actress, I don't remember doing a bad job. I think that's one of the positives I could say, but as it is, not big on it. But I mean, it's not the worst of the worst. Unlike this might be the wrong one, but it's meant to be the Children of Corn remake. I think I downloaded the wrong one, but fuck it. It's still a Children of Corn remake. I know there's a new one coming out for some reason, but yeah, this was... Children of Corn is a franchise that did not deserve to be a franchise. I don't mind the first Children of Corn. I don't mind it. I don't think it's a fucking classic, but I don't mind it. I could watch the first Children of Corn. The third one, it's okay. There's some decent creative death scenes, and but I'm not like gun-ho about it either. That did not need this many damn movies. They keep redoing it, and they keep making new films to keep the name, to be able to sell it and make a few bucks on it and keep the IP, and every once in a while release it, and some people be curious about it, whether they think, more than likely they'll think it's bad, but some people go see it regardless out of curiosity. This is now a recognizable name. I mean, how many times do people make jokes? All those kids, are they the Children of the Corn? So, this I remember, was it some Vietnam guy or something? And Actually, I don't remember much. Just empty my fucking brain. It was bullshit. Fuck the movie. It was bullshit. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. This I'm going to put in the solid category. Child's Play. I do think it's a bit underrated. I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. I think it's refreshing. I definitely think it's the best thing Child's Play has had since the third movie back in the 90s. I don't care for Aubrey Plaza, I believe is her name, who plays the mom. It's one of the few big nitpicks I have with it, but I thought the kid did a good job acting wise. I like the guy who plays the cop, Detective Norris. Mark Hamill, I thought, did a capable job voicing Chucky, and we got to see a different type of Chucky, which makes sense because this is a reboot. I don't want a carbon copy, and unless it's done very well, which I'll get to that in a bit. You say one of them is almost that way, but that was done fairly well. And yeah, okay, it's there. I want to make sure it was there. But Child's Play remake, I thought, like I said, I mentioned the acting. It was great to see a Chucky that was a single white female type of dynamic where he actually was wanting to be the kid's friend and he didn't want to hurt the kid. He wanted to protect the kid. He wanted to severely overprotect the kid. And they stole this shit from Megan. Tooth and nail. Every bit of it. A robot that had a life of its own of AI intelligence who protected and overprotected a kid, in which an animal hurt the kid, and that's really the first thing we see. One of the first things it kills is this animal that attacked the kid. And what you do a final battle where the mom and the kid join forces to fight this thing and tear this robot apart. Only this had, I thought, a better looking style in terms of cinematography. It was R-rated with better kills, including what was it, the lawnmower, that device type of thing. When the kids find the head and it's the skin on it, because Chucky saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 and he thought that's what the kids liked, because this robot doesn't know any better. I liked how the toy store was going crazy. I think that could have been a bigger massacre, but there's still a little bit in there. And I said I thought the lead kid did a good job. He wasn't annoying. He wasn't irritating. I find it funny how people made fun of him. Why does he's too old for a doll. But then this little girl, no one said shit about it. When I reviewed Child's Play, it's so stupid. This guy, how old is this kid? He's got a doll? How the fuck old was the girl in Maniac? She got a doll. No one said shit. No one said a goddamn thing. Hypocritical bullshit. So, the fact that this film got so crapped on, but then Maniac gets so much pass and praise in box office, is one of the most hypocritical fucking things I've seen in a long time. If you like the film, teach their own. I'm not here to tell you what to like. I'm just saying, I think Megan sucks. I think Child's Play is much better, because I think he has better acting, aside from Aubrey Plaza. But I think the kid is a better actor. I like his friends that he met and grew to be friends, and Detective Norris. I think the kills are better. I think the cinematography is better looking. I think the pacing is faster. I think the ending is a lot more satisfying. It feels like a grander battle. Not just the Toy Story bits, but with the kid going up against Chucky and really giving the big old punch and killing this thing. You didn't have him dancing like Megan did for the TikTok audience. So, sorry, this film is underrated. It's not as bad as people make it out to be. The Crazies, I thought it was pretty good. The ending has this explosion with some really wonky CGI. It kind of leaves it on an ending where you don't quite know what's going to happen next. So it's not the most satisfying. I guess that's a different way of doing a question mark ending. But I was never. I'm not big on the original Crazies with George Romero. I could watch it. This. Actually, the Timothy Oliphant wasn't too bad. I thought the director created some pretty interesting scenes, like the woman who's tied up, and this guy's just pitchforking people one by one. She sees it, but she can't get out. And the effect of, here's this townsfolk that you used to know, and they just turn crazy all of a sudden. I thought the pacing was a bit faster. I thought it had a bit more of an action feel, which I'm a sucker for, because I'm a big fan of the action genre. It's been a while since I've seen it, so I'm not as knowledgeable as in. I don't remember as clearly as others because I haven't seen it in a long time, but I do remember not minding the film. Like, no, this is pretty decent. Dawn of the Dead, I will put in the solid category. I'll put it there. Dawn of the Dead, the original George Romero, is my favorite zombie film of all time. It's one of my favorite films of all time. This was a worthy remake. Yes, it has less of the subtext, but it's much more of just a hardcore action horror film. I think it's easily Zack Snyder's best film. It has some really interesting shots. The whole opening 20 minutes with how we first see the zombie outbreak and the lady escaping, the camera's attached to the car, and we see her driving through this neighborhood that's in entire chaos. The wide shot that pushes in and you see a car flip and explode to the gas station. Very stylistic in its direction. I love Ving Rhames in the film. I thought the rest of the cast, for the most part, did their jobs fairly well. Didn't give a shit about the baby zombie. I thought that was silly. I thought that was ridiculous. I think that should have been cut out. It looked silly. The whole subplot wasn't needed. I did like the bit with Ving Rhames and the guy across the street. I think it's Andy, the gun store owner. The way they communicate with signs, I thought that was actually pretty interesting. Pretty nice friendship that evolves. Yeah, some good bits of slow-mo, zombie action, and gore. Yeah, there's CGI to be fair, but I thought it was handled fairly well in this compared to other movies. James Gunn did mind his script. I think Zack Snyder should have worked with James Gunn when he did Army of the Dead. Maybe it would have been a better movie. It would have been a better movie, what I'm saying. And I don't care for the ending where you're on the island during the end credits and then you don't see them die, but we're led to believe they died. But technically we didn't see it, but there's like the smallest of question marks. Just like, where are they going to go? And they ran out of gas, and they're probably running out of ammo, and I didn't care for that. I don't think that was needed. I don't know why that was put in there. So it kind of leaves a little bit of a... Because there was never a sequel, so you don't ever know what happened to these characters, like Ving Rhames that we followed throughout the entire movie. That leaves a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. But I think it's a good-looking movie with some really solid thrills and a capable cast. And Ving Rhames is a badass in it, so definitely put it up there. Day of the Dead remake. Yeah. 2 words. Vegetarian zombies. This guy was a vegetarian, and when he got bit into a zombie because he's a vegetarian, now he's a good zombie. And this is from the director Steve Miner, who did Friday the 13th Part 2, Friday the 13th Part 3, House from the 80s, Halloween H2O, Lake Placid. All films I liked tremendously more than this. And this dog shit was directed by him. Where not only do they have... I said 2 words, I know, but I'm saying more. Vegetarian zombie, but then other zombies are a fucking Spider-Man going on the fucking wall, ready for them to shoot webs. shoot your web in your own face and jack off on it. Fucking bullshit. Day of the Dead remake. Evil Dead remake. I'll put it here. Why do I not put it with the worst of the worst? I'll say this. I don't think the look of the film is that bad. It does have exceptional gore. That's all it has going for it. I mean, is the acting... I'm not a big fan of the acting, but do I think it's as bad as Black Christmas and Day of the Dead remake with vegetarian zombies? No. But again, I'm trying to be fair, and some people think I'm not fair. The gore is fantastic, and not a bad looking film, but to me, it's not really much Evil Dead. Because part of Evil Dead is, number one, you need a very good, capable lead. I don't think this lady did it. Some people disagree, to each your own. And also, the creativity. To me, Evil Dead, creativity is part of the game. I say I don't mind the look of it, but there should have been a lot more camera angles. There's a little bit of camera movement, but not nearly as much. And creativity like in Evil Dead, the original, where light bulbs are filling up with blood, and the whole last 20 minutes where Ash is by himself in the cabin, and the camera's on the ground, and as his foot turns, there's a edit where now we're in a different scene, and he turns, the camera's right up in his face, or he's walking and the camera's up top, and each time it passes by a banister, there's this whoop, 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 whoop. Like the creativity and the camera work, and the angles and the POVs, and also like Ash put his hand in the mirror, but there's water, and that's part of Evil Dead, that creativity of what the hell's going to happen next. There is zero of that in this movie. There looks like there's zero of that in Evil Dead Rise. This part of Evil Dead is that creativity, that insanity. And they think it's just gore and that's it. And that's not fucking Evil Dead. Yes, it was gory, and that's good. But you think that's the only thing. That's not the only fucking thing, and that's why, to me, was one of the things this got wrong. And it took that shit out to be much scarier. Well, it wasn't fucking scary. It was gory, but I didn't think it was fucking scary. And the whole thing with the lady, and she did drugs, I don't think that was really taken as far as it could have and should have, where people, oh, she's just seeing hallucinations, it's just part of her drug phase. They kind of brought that up, but then didn't really do a whole lot with it. And the only creativity I saw was the shower of blood outside. That's the closest I saw to it. I like that idea, wasn't nearly enough for me. So, never cared for the Evil Dead remake, I thought it was overrated. The Fly, definitely put it there. Easily put it in the awesome category. Move this up a bit. Easily The Fly. Jeff Goldblum did a fantastic job. Should have at least been nominated for some kind of award. Very emotional performance of his transformation. You can look at it as a case of cancer, AIDS, however you want to put into this crippling disease that tears your flesh and your body away, and you feel absolutely sorry for him. And he was with Gina Davis at the time, and it worked well because you bought that they were in love with each other. You have amazing makeup effects. The score fit the film well. David Cronenberg, it's my favorite Cronenberg film. Yeah, I know it's his most mainstream film. I don't care. I think a remake much better than the original, just like The Blob. Remake much better than the original. And a very emotionally packed finale. And I don't mind the sequel, but you didn't really need a sequel. I like the sequel, I like bits of it, but you didn't really need it. But yeah, The Fly, to me, is a classic. Friday the 13th, I would put that as Put it there. Considering the other Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, other remakes, this is actually one of the more capable ones. The very, very opening with the girl cutting off the mom's head, the acting in that is really bad, but thankfully it's only like a minute or two. But I like the death scenes. Yes, I could have do with more creativity, but I thought the death scene still worked rather well. I thought Derek Mears did a fantastic job as Jason. It's a fucking shame that he did not get to do more films as Jason Voorhees, because I think if he had more under his belt, he could have given Kane Hodder a run for his money with the portrayal of Jason. Jared Padalecki, I believe his name, from Supernatural, he was in this one, while the other guy was in Bloody Valentine. I liked him a lot more. I didn't watch much of Supernatural, but I know he's also in the House of Wax remake as a co-star, but here he got to be a star. I like him. I liked his character. As simple as his story was, I liked his search for his sister. The other cast members did fine for what they needed to do. It had death scenes, it had nudity. I don't mind Jason and the traps. I really did not mind that. I mean, if Jason's capable of putting his victims in all these stages, like Friday the 13th Part 4. Friday the 13th Part 4, he put Christopher Glover's body in front of the doorway to block it. So if he's willing to do stuff like that, him making a trap doesn't really... I don't know why that's such a what the fuck idea. I don't know why people got so bent out of shape with that. I really have no clue. And they explained what the mine system was, that this was part of this Crystal Lake area. Again, I don't know what the big deal with that was either. Why did people complain about that? He's living underground? So? He had a shack in Friday the 13th Part 2. Was he gonna live in a fucking treehouse? Where else is he gonna stay? Either a shack or a fucking treehouse or what? What is the big deal? I don't know what the big fucking deal was. I really don't. And the whole theme that like they're trying to do the ending of Friday the 13th Part 2 where she put the sweater on and it thinks this is mom, and there's a different way of Jason thinking this is someone. That's why he kept her hostage, because he thought she was someone he wasn't. Maybe for the 13th Part 2 you buy a bit more. This is only like a couple seconds, while this is a certain length of time. Like I said, that didn't bother me much to be a little bit different. Like, right, different doesn't automatically mean good, and it's in the eye of the beholder. That's we all have different tastes and perspectives. But like I said, the differences it made was not as egregious. Like, I think Rob Zombie's Halloween films were a lot more egregious in its changes compared to this. And I saw in the theater, and the crowd had a good time. They reacted to it, and I think it's better than the original Friday the 13th. I do. I'm sorry, if you compare the original Friday the 13th with this one, I think it's better. I do. I think having Jason in there is much better than Mrs. Voorhees. I think that the kills are fine in the original by Tom Savini's effects. Just like I think the kills in this are fine. The whole murder mystery, I didn't really care about the original Friday the 13th because it wasn't playing fair. With a murder mystery, you actually have to give me some suspects before you just reveal them in the last 5 fucking minutes of the movie. So you're not even playing fair movie. It's like, you have to give me suspects to guess the murder mystery. Nope. It's a murder mystery that you have no way to guess. Well, then fuck you then. Just give me the fucking killer, So, I'm sorry. This I liked a lot more. The original Fright Night is a classic. This, somewhere in there. Rest in peace, Anton Yelchin. I feel bad for what happened to him. This was a terrible remake. Colin Farrell was an awful choice for Jerry Dandridge. Hey, bro, you got some brewskis, bro? Hey, bro. It lacked any amount of bite and any amount of wit that the original had. Either it was regurgitated stuff that just felt too familiar, and maybe I'd rather watch the original because it did it better. I had ridiculous stuff like the lady that ran out because she was a vampire. She blew up in CGI fire. That made me laugh, and I know it made other people laugh. The way they portrayed Peter Vincent, which is one of the guys who played Doctor Who, unlikable character, and just did not work at all. At all. Ridiculous scenes like when he throws the fucking motorcycle and the CGI motorcycle is through the back of the car. The CGI motorcycle is trying to... That just looked ridiculous. It looked like a video game. I'm like, just go watch Disturbia with Shia LaBeouf again if you want to see... I mean, it doesn't have the vampires, but you want to see a new take to Rear Window, which is what the original Fright Night was. Take Rear Window, but put a vampire in it. It just did not work at all. Rob Zombie's Halloween. That's definitely up there. I didn't put Halloween 2 because, I mean, it's not a remake, it's a sequel to the remake, but Rob Zombie's Halloween, what more can be said that hasn't been said? Rob Zombie, even though he said he wasn't a fan of remakes, he made this movie, and he said he was such a fan of the original Halloween, but he wasn't, because he kept talking shit about the fucking movie. Oh, Donald Pleasance, his character seemed drunk. Michael Myers doesn't drive. This is stupid. It's stupid he just got a mask from a store. What if there was another mask? Well, there were more copies of the mask. That's why you had someone wearing the mask in Halloween 2. And got ran over by a car. Unlike you having a damn mask buried and looked like it was someone wiped their ass with it. And I'm sorry, the beginning with the kid was boring. One of the most generic origin stories. They put every checkbox. He hurt animals. He did this. He was bullied in school. He listened to rock music. What the fuck? Just generic shit. Don't care for Sherman Zombie's an actress. I'm tired of him casting his wife in every goddamn movie he does. And then this little kid became an 8-foot tall guy that, depending on which cut you see, these orderlies decide to assault a woman in front of this hulking giant and smell my fingers. And then the characters like Laurie Strode is so unlikable and nasty and bitchy and annoying. Well, that's how people are. Well, I don't want to be around those people. Not in a movie or real life. And then the second half, just a shitty remake copy of the fucking original. Step by step. Day by day. Where's Patrick Duffy? Fuck. Hate that movie. House of Wax, I put in the solid. I really enjoy that remake. I was going to want to put in an awesome, but I'll put in solid right now. I really do like that film. I thought the cast did a good job. I love the way they made the town look. You felt the sense of isolation. The gore scenes when they happen are very valid and gruesome. The idea of the killers having taken over this town and all these mannequins, all these wax figures or people underneath, and you have this brother and sister bond against this other, brotherly bond. So that different dynamic. The whole finale where the whole wax museum is melting and they're chasing up it. That's such a cool visual motif that really brought it up a few notches. And it's the same director that go on to do Non-Stop with Liam Neeson and some other films with Liam Neeson and The Shallows, which is one of the better shark movies. So you definitely had a talented director. And if you don't like Paris Hilton, her character does get killed off in a pretty violent way. So overall, I did like House of Wax quite a bit. Quite a bit. Invaders from Mars. I'll put it there. There or there, whatever. I liked some of the set design, especially in the third act, of the way the creatures look and their ship looks. But the lead kid is absolutely terrible. One of the worst kid actors I've seen from the 1980s try to give a performance. The ending was just... I don't care if that's the ending of the original. I think that should have been changed. Just trying to do like this almost kid fairy tale type of thing, but then you have this downbeat, nihilistic, gruesome ending that just, I don't think, fit the tone of the movie. Where the kid is helping the military and with these guns and they're... But then I don't think the tone was consistent. Like I said, there's elements I don't mind, but it just... It's between that and lame. It's between one of those, and I just put it there for now. I can't go in depth. I'm already 35 minutes in. This will be an hour-long video. This is absolutely dog shit. I hate the Jacob's Ladder remake. The original Jacob's Ladder is one of my favorite films of all time. One of my favorite films of all time. This is... everything that made that film work, this remake got wrong. From giving away the twist in the first 5 minutes, to the atrocious direction, terrible visuals, lack of understanding of any subtext or any text that the original Jacob's Ladder had, a ridiculous ending, no pathos, no emotion, no scares, lame ass jump scares. Every fucking thing the original did right, this did wrong. It was a blasphemy. And we can't get a full blown 4K special edition of Jacob's Ladder, but you waste your money on this piece of shit remake. Knock knock. Because I forgot that was a remake, but it is. And I've seen the original, and the original's a little bit better because the acting's a bit better. Knock Knock is Keanu Reeves' worst film. He acts like a total dumbass with these two women come in, and he lets them do what they want. And then after they assault him, he fucking... even though they assaulted him and did all this stuff to him, he's like, listen, I will drive you women home. What? You don't drive the women home even though they did all this shit to you? What? What? It's fucking free pizza! Should have known it was Eli Roth. Although he directed a remake I did like, which was Death Wish, but this, no. Maniac? It was actually pretty solid. The Maniac remake. Elijah Wood was very effective. I like the different direction they took, where everything's a POV, not found footage, not video camera, but just from the person's point of view of his eyes. That made it unique. They made it interesting. They made me pull into what is going on, and also does have some effective gore scenes And, some would say it's better than the original Maniac, which I can see their point. This is what I want to watch again. I remember being really good, really surprising, because I'm like, oh, whatever, fuck it. Remake a Maniac and Elijah Wood. But Elijah Wood proved himself to be right for the part, and the way it was directed had a lot of nice stylistic choices to it. If you've never seen it, I would highly recommend the remake to Maniac. Mirrors, I would say pretty good. I have to watch it again. I like Kiefer Sutherland. I never saw the original. I like the mirror motif. I like some of the visual touches. The ending is a bit of a question mark. It didn't make me hate it. I'm not going to give it away for those who haven't seen it. I will say the end, but the ending does leave a question of intrigue as to what could have happened in a sequel. But then they did, I think, a sequel, but it had really nothing to do with this one, so it was pointless. But some of the scares are very obvious, and it's not the most original in terms of scares. But like, I thought Kiefer Sutherland did a good job. It was nice to see him. He had done films before, like Flatliners and stuff, but it was just even more horrors. Being a fan of Kiefer Sutherland, it was nice to see him in that role. And that did have some pretty decent gore dads in it too, because I think Alexander Aja was a part of it, or did he direct it? Can't remember if he directed or produced it. But yeah, I actually remember not minding that. But Night of the Living Dead, sounded pretty good. Between these two, I'll say solid for now. I'm not a fan of the original, but I really like the remake that Tom Savini did. I thought that Patricia Tallman was much better, much more likable, much more sensible, much smarter, much stronger of a Barbara than the original. Better in every single way. Again, she's smarter. She realized we could just walk by them. We could do this. We could do that. She holds her own. Tony Todd is fantastic. I even like Tom Tolles. He did a good job playing that sleazy guy. It does follow the original, and you would expect a bit more gore because of Tom Savini, but I don't know how much of that was his decision, how much of that might have been cut out. There's still some, but not, Day of the Dead original level. I like how they changed the ending a bit. I thought the ending I actually prefer over the original. And like I said, I like a lot more than the original. I like Night of the Living Dead. Poltergeist. Yeah, it's shit. You know what the Poltergeist remake is? A Xerox. And the only thing they add is stupid shit like a CGI squirrel. Poltergeist Remakes is a remake no one remembers even existed. Prom Night Remake, one of the most boring slasher films. The only thing of interest is that Idris Elba is in it, in an early role as a detective. And watch it again, that's the only thing worth this bit. But a very neutered, very mundane. Hell, the slasher villain just a guy in a baseball cap. And lack of visceral thrills or gore. Just what? I mean, I watch it over Final Exam and Terror on Tour in the 80s, but not a good movie. Psycho remake. Put that, I don't know where, somewhere in there. One of the most pointless movies of all time. Like I say Xerox, I sure say that for the Psycho remake. That is literally a Xerox. Only instead of black and white, in color, and there's a few scenes of Norman Bates masturbating. That's really it. But literally this shot for shot, beat for beat. Only the original had you had Anthony Perkins and Janet Leigh and Alfred Hitchcock directing. Here you got Vince Vaughn, and rest in peace Anne Heche, but Anne Heche, I liked her in some movies like Volcano and 67 Nights. She was no Janet Leigh in Psycho. It was funny, the supporting cast, Viggo Mortensen and Julianne Moore, I thought actually worked better than the main folks. But yeah, completely pointless. Quarantine. Fuck it. This is going in lame. Screw it. The more I think about Invasion from Mars, the more I say it's lame as shit. Quarantine. Remake of Wreck. Pretty much beat for beat. So not much originality in there. The acting I don't mind. That's the thing. I don't mind the acting. And I would say the ideas, but that was done in Wreck, which is a better movie. Well, the poster gives away the entire fucking ending. That poster there is the ending of the movie, the last shot. How good a marketing is that? If you want to watch Wreck, I guess, without reading subtitles, then you watch Quarantine. And I don't mind the acting in it, but I guess just the same movie. But at least the acting I don't mind, so that's why I put it. And it's a pretty short enough movie. Sorority Row. Actually, I put it around here. I watched that again recently. Not as bad as I remembered it being. I actually didn't mind some of the dialogue. I thought I had some witty dialogue exchanges between the characters. I didn't think the acting was that bad. I thought the finale had some decent firework and maybe some stunt work, but I have a review of it up. So if you want to check that out. But yeah, Sorority Row was a lot better than I thought it would be. This was not The Stepfather. It sucks. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003. I actually thought it was pretty solid. It really is. I mean, it's the last decent Chainsaw Massacre film. It tries to be scarier and grittier. I think it succeeds fairly well. The cast, like just Biel, I don't think was that bad. Andrew Bernarski is a terrible person in real life. I don't think he was that bad of a Leatherface. Arlie Ermy definitely stole the show. I like the addition of the other family members they incorporate in there. I actually don't mind the look. It's like a painting. I don't mind that look. I know some people hate it. I definitely felt this oppressive feel when I saw it in the theater, and whenever I watch it, I like that Jessica Biel is able to cut Leatherface's arm off. Satisfying moment and able to get away. So it's not too much of a bullshit ending. And run over Arlie Ermy. He's like, yeah. There's some cool looking shots, like when the person shoots himself and the camera goes through her head and to the back of the window. I think that's a neat looking shot. So overall, I actually don't mind that remake. This Amityville, I'll put it here somewhere. I like the original Amityville Horror. The remake is very, very forgettable. Very forgettable. I don't remember a damn thing about that movie other than Ryan Reynolds seemed miscast. And the scares seem very much lacking. The Far remake. Yep. PG-13, CGI fog. I mean, when you got CGI fog trying to attack you, you know something's up. Fucking ridiculous. The Haunting. Yeah, it's pretty lame. Special effects that do not hold up well. Nice to see Liam Neeson. He doesn't have a whole lot to do. I liked, what's her name? Well, actually I liked her more in The Conjuring. Owen Wilson gets his head taken off. Not scary, not atmospheric at all. Like it didn't. It felt like a glorified Disney movie and less than a horror film at times. Like the set was too pretty. The haunted house was too pretty, and nice set design, but it didn't look too pretty. Hills of Eyes remake, definitely put in there. Love the Hills of Eyes remake. Love it. That's the thing where I was talking about. Yeah, it copies a lot from the original, but I think it does it better. I think it has better acting. I do think it has better direction. When I compare both movies, it has more of a style to it. Definitely has more of a gore quotient to it. I love the music better by Tom and Dandy. Where this Ennio Morricone type of score, spaghetti western in the third act. I love the whole revenge aspect. It's brutal, it's violent, it's bloody. I like the lead guy. I think he's a much better actor than anybody in the original Hills of Eyes. And him, like, fighting the bad guy and sticking a flag in his neck and taking his head, and the other mutant right into his guy's eyeball, and he sees his finger has been cut off, and he beats the shit out of the guy. That's such a satisfying action revenge. Like, yeah! With the music, that's like Ennio Morricone. It's like a cool, kick-ass, bloody spaghetti western. It's so fucking satisfying, man. I did when I didn't cut my hair and shave it. I did kind of look like Dud from Hills of Eyes. On my old channel, I even had like the shirt, and I'd be like, that was Hills of Eyes. I might have done like a little video or something. I wish I had that video still. But yeah, I love that movie. Hitcher, one of the worst. One of the worst remakes I've ever seen in my life. Being a fan of the original, I love the original to death. C. Thomas Howell, Rutger Hauer. Like Jacob's Ladder, everything the original did right, this remake did wrong. I'm sorry, Sean the Beanie Baby was not nearly as intimidating or scary or had that presence compared to Rutger Hauer. You take something interesting, oh wow, it's a guy as a lead. No, we gotta change it to a girl as a lead, because every fucking film needs a girl as a lead. How typical. You have a girlfriend, boyfriend, where at least in the original it was different because he just met this girl and maybe there'll be love, maybe there won't, but then they're in this together to help each other out. Not showing the rip apart made us think of it more violent than it was. Here they show it as crappy CGI. The fucking finale where the truck and she gets a shotgun and slow motion with fucking explosions, Michael Bay style. Fucking hell, man. And then she gets cops killed because she could have done something and gets a fucking cop killed. Neil McDonough. Fuck that goddamn remake. This one, House on Haunted, it's pretty solid. Pretty solid. I really enjoy that. It was close to being awesome, but if it wasn't for the finale having some really sketchy CGI, it probably would be in the awesome category. But solid. Like that's a remake of a haunted house movie done right. The mental asylum looked very grisly and dirty, and like you wouldn't want to be there. I like the cast. What's his name? I just had it. Jeffrey Rush. He's a lot of fun. Trying to look a little bit like Vincent Price. His barbs that he shoots at Falcon Johnson back and forth was pretty entertaining. I liked his character that he has this ride that you're going up the elevator to get to the ride, but then it's like free falling, but that's part of the ride. And the play tricks on people. I like people like Tate Diggs. Even Chris Kattan wasn't that irritating to me. He was actually saying stuff that I could relate to and was in his shoes. And it had a bit of that Jacob's Ladder feel with the, as in visuals, with the shaking of the heads and stuff. and definitely more graphic, R-rated compared to The Haunting. Uh, that's actually a pretty good remake. I did like that one. Sally, I don't think I have the Stream Factory Blu-ray. I don't think I do. I don't think I think I have a Blu-ray from overseas though, that someone sent me. Last House on the Left I thought was pretty good. Much better than the original. I like Tony Goldwyn in that remake. It was more tonally consistent. You didn't have these cops coming out of the blue, like just out of the blue, goofy ass shit, goofy ass cops, ready for the clown noises to appear. The acting is better. Like I said, the tone is more consistent. Last Time Left, again, I love Wes Craven for Shocker, Nightmare on Elm Street, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, Serpent on the Rainbow, People on the Stairs. His two early work, I'm not a fan of. I don't like his Hills of Eyes. I don't like his Last Time Left. I think the remakes were better. The Omen fit this right next to fucking Poltergeist. Well, that and Psycho. Xerox. Put that over there. Fucking Xerox. You seen the original? You seen the? There's no difference. The Rain. Oh, that was pretty good. Put that around here. I'll put it solid. I'll put it solid. Yeah. I'm not big on Japanese horror films, let alone their remakes, but this one I thought, while I think it could use a bit of editing, like most of Gore Verbinski movies, I liked the visuals. I liked how it related to the videotape and how they told the story of what happened to this girl and how the curse occurred. I thought Naomi Watts was very capable. I thought it was. They had definitely had the budget to look pretty slick. I did like The Ring. The Shaft, fuck it. I don't put it as awesome because it's a remake of a horror film called The Lift. And the director remade his own movie. Sometimes it's called Down, sometimes it's called The Shaft. I think it's fucking awesome in a B movie sense. Yeah, it's a killer elevator movie. So I don't do that. A killer elevator film. I don't have titties in the first 5 minutes. I don't have someone get their head cut off. I don't have the elevator grab people and then throw them like a pile of dirt from the top of the damn building. I don't have people like Ron Perlman and Michael Ironside in there. I don't have some gore in there. I don't have the hero shoot the shit out of it with a bazooka. I don't have the elevator do nasty shit like make a bunch of pregnant women give birth early or do other shit. I don't have the elevator cut people in half. I don't keep like Naomi Watts. I liked. I didn't mind the guy. I forget his name. It's a fun beat, and I'm gonna end it with Aerosmith's "Love in an Elevator," which is like that's pretty damn awesome. The Thing. What more could be said? It's John Carpenter's The Thing. I know some people say it's not a remake. It's more of an adaptation of who goes there. But so many people have called it a remake. I have to put it on there. So, and plus it's the John Carpenter's The Thing. It's fucking classic. 13 Ghosts. I'll go with pretty good. Yeah, I'll put it there. I like the set design. I love the way the house looks. I love the way the ghosts look. I actually like Matthew Lillard in the movie. I don't mind Tony Shalhoub. But I like the film, but there's issues. Number one, I wish Matthew Lillard was the lead. I think he was the more interesting character. I would like to have seen him and his arc of this guy who's part of the problem, and then he grows courage, and then he helps save the day, which is kind of his arc, but I wish the finale of that was better and more satisfying to me. There's so many ghosts that I'm not allowing to utilize much. I mean, you have 13 ghosts, and some of them, you blink and you miss it, or you barely see anything about it. Whether you needed, like, as dumb as it may sound, like a party happening, like more of a body count, something like that happening, or if not a party, then maybe what's his, what, F. Murray Abraham, is it? Maybe more of his men are there to study, but then F. Murray Abraham is using them as bait, or use them as the test, or use them to keep the ghosts at bay. So these are men that are, maybe they have a bit of the kind of bad guys as well, but again, he's using them as sacrificial lambs. So the ghost, you get some more death scenes and more of the ghost doing stuff. But I like some of the cast members. The whole lady, then she turns a turncoat. Didn't care about that character. The ending with the machine with a lot of CGI and what the 13th ghost is like, that's what it is. Yeah. Yeah, I like Tony Shalhoub. I like Matthew Lillard. I wish Matthew Lillard, they did more with him in the third act of it. So I have issues, but overall I did like the film. Village of the Damned. I liked it. That was pretty good. I don't think it was bad as people make it out to be. I don't give a crap about the original. I love the score. It was great to see Christopher Reeve as the lead, other than Superman. I thought he was one of the best parts of it. Cool to see people like Kirstie Alley and Mark Hamill and, oh, what's her name? Linda Kozlowski from Crocodile Dundee. Sometimes the pacing and the scares were a bit lacking. The ending, I don't know. But overall, I didn't. There's other set pieces I did not mind, and I'm a sucker for John Carpenter's direction and music. And I say it was great to see Christopher Reeve as the lead in this type of film. It felt refreshing. When a Stranger Calls, pretty lame, pretty boring. Pretty much her in the house for the longest of time, and it's Lance Henriksen's voice, but then when he shows up, it's not Lance Henriksen. Wicker Man, I'm actually don't put it here because while it is bad, it's actually pretty laughable, and you get some entertainment out of it. How did you burn? How did you burn? And he's in a teddy bear suit and he punches people in the face. I'd rather watch that than some of this other shit. But, yeah. The Wolfman, I'm going to put it here. Meh. Because I haven't seen that in a long time. I remember some good Rick Baker effects, but also some really shoddy CGI effects. Anthony Hopkins is capable, Benicio del Toro's capable, but that's a film I haven't seen in a long time. I just remember it seemed like there's a lot of production problems you could tell in the movie. So, I'd have to rewatch that. And then Willard, I'll put as pretty good. Crispin Glover is definitely the highlight of that film. The way it ends, I mean, it was changed after the fact. So you tell there's a little bit of a discrepancy there. The rat handlers did a good job, but then when it shows the big CGI smorgasbord, you can very much tell. Like the elevator scene is it doesn't hold up the best. But I remember seeing the theater, and it seemed like the first week it was already at the section that's ready to leave and get out of the theater, so there you go. So that's the ones I have there. The Thing, The Blob, Hills of Ice, The Fly, and yes, The Shaft, I have a lot of fun with. The Solids, House on Haunted Hill, House of West, Friday the 13th, Child's Play, Dawn of the Dead, Maniac, Night of the Living Dead, Body Snatchers. So you can't say I hate all remakes, because look at awesome, solid, and pretty good. There's a good selection of them, and not just the ones from the 80s. But yeah, the most was let's see, there's a lot more bad. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 3 is 21. 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. 28 compared to 6, 9, 12, 15. Wait, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 17, 19, 21, 24. So, there you go. 24, while the rest is 28. It's a lot more bad than good, but there's still some good ones out there. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.